All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, World HRD Congress, for organizing this event. Having people from diverse background under one roof with a common mission is great. In interest of time, we'll dive straight into the session and we'll hear it from our illustrious panel, talking more about themselves, their introduction. We'll quickly begin with one by one.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Harsha Mashilkar, and I'm the head HR at Fleet Management Limited. This is a shipping company based out of Andheri. So I have been, about 18 years in HR now. Prior to this, with Maersk, and then with an agrochemical company called Syngenta. So yeah, that's about me.
Thank you. I'm Rina Munusamy from Mauritius, actually in the financial services sector, insurance. I head the group HR and governance functions for quite some time now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Noel Racha. I'm the HR Director and Risk Management Officer of Miram College in the Philippines. It's an educational institution, and I've been doing that for HR for the last 18 years. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Dr. Dinesh Khisti, basically mechanical engineer, MBA Finance and PhD into Operations and Business Excellence. So I hail from Nasik, Maharashtra, and I'm a management coach and corporate consultant for multinationals. So my core competency is into academics for supply chain and into industry for the management consultancy in the Operations and Business Excellence. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much everyone for your introduction. So we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about artificial intelligence. The narrative around artificial intelligence has always been debatable. Different industries, different perspective, across levels, across industries. What is artificial intelligence? Is it just the cognition? Is it going to replace human talents with technology? Is it going to be the reason for displacement, replacement? Is it going to take away and eat up jobs? Is it cost intensive? So on and so forth. So with this panel, we will try navigating the importance of innovation and integration, making it much easier for you all to understand from a very natural, organic perspective that what is AI going to bring to us in our future course. So inviting my first panelist, Ms. Reena, we want you to talk more about the contribution of artificial intelligence in respect to human talents.
Thank you, Neha. So before going straight into the subject, I'd like to say that AI is said to be the fourth industrial revolution. And after industrialization, technological change, globalization, now there is the AI era. And more than ever, I think with the theme Back to the future places AI on the agenda. And the theme back reminds us that we have to put it into context. AI can mimic human intelligence. It can help us search, consolidate data much faster than the human brain. It helps us to classify and cluster data. It helps us to detect variation in data. And it is always reinforcing itself, so it becomes intelligent. It takes data from one task and we can really transfer that to another task. This is a bit in terms of context. What I'd like to say is that in 2023, at least 300 HR tech setups were developed in the US to manage people. And that secured worth of venture capital of 220 million US dollars. And these companies were valued at over 2 billion US dollars. So there's lots of opportunities in talent management, especially centered around cost effectiveness and the savings we can make on capital investment and productivity. When we talk about talent management, it's obviously about how we acquire talent, how we develop them, and how we retain them. The opportunities for AI on talent management, on talent acquisition rather, would be threefold. The way I see it is about how they can connect people together. So there you have the job finder, so you can put people with a similar interests and preferences. There is also how we can screen job applications. So again, we look at matching skill sets together. And finally, I think in terms of acquisition, it sets the tone for employer branding, because employers can now henceforth use social media presence to have interactive career pages, and they can include employee testimonials and also their own corporate achievements. So all of that is very useful to attract talents. Maybe on the talent development side. On the talent development side, of course, we can really have targeted programs for employees. We can also track the learning experience platform, but very importantly, we can preserve IP, because henceforth we can keep the data on the platform, and we know that IP is so central to the company's value creation and data. And I think lastly, in terms of talent development, I'd like to say that AI can also help in collaborative work communities, because you don't need to also just talk to people. So this is one way of facilitating that. And on retention side, very quickly, I think AI would also, in the workplace today with the aging population, we've got so many generations. So AI can help us in addressing the engagement that is required for different types of generation. And it can also observe people. So there are a few software now that are observing people so that we know what are their tendencies, and we can also check on what's going to be the next move. Will they be quietly quitting the company? So that's a bit on this.
That's actually a great input, Reena. When you say tracking talents, you know, this has been a pain area for all HR professionals, that when it is about artificial intelligence, how are we able to contribute in terms of tracking human talent, which is, you know, across age, as rightly mentioned by you. So I would probably bring Dr. Noel here, and if you can talk about contribution from a perspective which is more relevant to, you know, diversity and inclusion.
Okay, I think beyond the ability of AI to provide technologies to HR, I think we need to see the ability of AI in terms of optimizing human capital, human potential, enhancing collaboration, and also creating value to individuals and the entire organization. There has been discussions about some risks associated with artificial intelligence. And one of them is, as you develop AI programs and deployment in HR, you run the risk of bias. And this is where I'd like to kind of temper the conversation in terms of diversity, equity, and what's the other one? Diversity.
Inclusion.
Inclusion. When you put the three together, it allows you to have a more objective development of AI and deployment, where you have different perspectives taking part in the development of AI programs. So in terms of diversity and ensuring also fairness in the system, and again, attendant to diversity would be inclusion. And this is where we really kind of reinforce the whole idea of AI's ability to really optimize human potential. While there might be challenges and risks associated with the use of AI, I think in general we see how it can, in fact, it was already mentioned, being a strategic enabler so that many of the things we do manually could be converted to data generation and eventually, which was already mentioned earlier, the real value of AI to HR would be predictive analytics. It informs us of high potential, it can track our talents and other talent management and development practices that would allow us to be more intentional and deliberate in terms of managing and developing our talents.
All right, that's quite insightful, Dr. Noel. We talk about integration, when we talk about artificial intelligence. After this, something that comes to our mind is about innovation. So we'll try knowing innovation. So Harsha, I'll, maybe have your take on this. When we talk about innovation in artificial intelligence, how imperative do you think it is for the subject?
Innovation, I think, is a very important aspect in the organization, irrespective of the AI piece, because every day things are changing in the organization. Like we just heard, there are multi-generations working together. So what would work for maybe the Gen Z may not work for the millennials or the aging population. So AI can really help us to, have targeted solutions for employees. The other thing I think about innovation is that if you have a very process-driven innovation in the organization, when you have newer technologies coming, it kind of saves a lot of time for you. It also simplifies the processes in the organization, and you can have a better employee experience. We have seen that with the way we deal with people, things like chat bots or knowing the pulse of the employees in the organization. All these newer ways of doing the same things which earlier were being done in a different way. So innovation technology is going to really be very helpful to, especially for HR, to understand the employee pulse, to bring in very targeted solutions and long-term solutions. I think that's very important.
Okay. Hailing from a strong scientific technological background that you come from, so how do you think that it has adopted to the new, the pointers which has been, which is now been adopted by multiple, and all across players, I mean the HRs, the CHROs, or, human resource people?
Yeah, I think if I go back to the days when I was working in a research organization, innovation was being spoken on a daily basis. Because in science, you always innovate,
Yeah.
And you may not do some breakthrough things. It may not be really very drastic, but even a small change in the way of working or doing the same thing can also be innovation. And I think even in HR, if we look across, we have now been looking at things in a different way. I can give you an example. So earlier, maybe it used to just be, exit interviews.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about stay interviews. We want to have the pulse of the employees. We want to have half-yearly, quarterly surveys. All this is AI-driven.
The retention bag.
Yeah, the retention. And the more you know your people, you can hold them. So this is, I think, all, again, very, very process-driven, innovation, I would say. And what I have seen, even in my experience with organizations which are very, very driven on innovation, is that the moment you start focusing on innovation, your performance somehow goes up. Because every day you are looking at what you are doing. You are simply asking yourself the question, how can I do the same thing in a better, in a more efficient and effective manner? That's what innovation is. And every time HR tries to bring any sort of change in the organization, I think the question we should ask is, how can it be better for the employees, better for us as an organization? That's how we can keep our focus on innovation.
Right. Dr. Noel wants to add.
Before I forget, I just to amplify what she said, I think when you start looking at innovation and how it's integrated to talent management, I do agree that when we see innovation from a technological perspective, it has to be human design centered. It has to find solutions to problems encountered by employees. And in fact, the other side of it is really looking at AI as a platform where employees can co-create and find solutions with the company. I think that's where we kind of marry or integrate innovation and talent management. They need not be at the opposing side. I think what's important is that those innovations that we try to implement should be human design centered. That means it's really meant to find solutions to the problems encountered by employees, and in fact, using AI to empower employees and co-create solutions for the organization.
Right. Dr. Dinesh, if I can have, we all can hear to your viewpoint on innovation in artificial intelligence, how Gen Z is adopting to it.
Thank you. So here I'm, as it is explained by Dr. Noel and Rina, I will take the further that this particular innovation, whatever you are talking about in this AI platform, these particular things as AI gives us tremendous knowledge or ideas how the things are moving across the world, and then with this particular innovation can be looped all together so that every human being or the process, like say, we talk about the marketing, sales, production, manufacturing, quality, all other. But these are linked to the human resource by itself. So these particular innovative things, when it comes into the processes through the AI, then the performance also goes up and it helps the organization or to even, I will say, the branding or sales, growth, revenues, whatever. It will come through this particular innovation if we get the more details from the AI or the arena of this AI is very large.
Okay, all right. So when you say that the emphasis has to be more on data tracking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it, no, so when I wanted to ask this question, I wanted to understand from you your insight on how Gen Z is adopting to innovation. Should we innovate? Is it going to do any better for us? From that perspective, if you can contribute something.
Yeah. With this perspective, I would like to, whatever Arina has said, is similar to that. Every process in any of the organization or the management is important. And human resources doing those particular processes. Let it be even development of the software, hardware, whatever we talk about, it is being done by the human being itself. So innovation here into the each and every process would be talking about what changes can be done to make it better, faster, cheaper, easier, and it can reach to the people or the customer. So definitely these innovations are very much essential to bring in some small changes into the processes. So suppose say thousands of processes are happening in a company across all the operations or business you are talking about. So small development will definitely help the particular organization to be better as compared to their competitors.
Yeah, please.
I think, when we speak of the Gen Z or the new age people, I think they are more adaptable to innovation. They want to do things differently. They want to be seen as different thinkers. And they are the first ones who can easily adapt to this. And because they have already seen the impact that innovation has or artificial intelligence has and how it makes things easier for them, I think they quite like this idea. And that's also so much more important because we are going to have the future generations coming into the organizations, and we as organizations also need to adapt to that. And somewhere they have also come to the realization that it's only the transactional piece of the jobs which is going to be, AI driven. All that really needs the human design or the thinking, the critical thinking or leadership. These all things will still require people to contribute. So the Gen Z, I think, is very open to this whole idea of AI and innovation.
Okay, Rina, you wanted to add something.
Just a quick takeaway from me. I think the Gen Z is, as Harsha has just mentioned, is just so ready, maybe readier than us. I think AI is removing all of the boredom and the repetitive transactional part of the work. And the Gen Z want to do things that are creative. They are already so much driven by technology. So I think AI, the way I see it is that AI will remove everything which is repetitive and really that the Gen Z doesn't like. So it will create a platform for them to thrive and be more creative and innovative. This is where I see the innovation bit.
Yeah, Dr. Noel.
Just quick, just two points. I think regardless of the generation we see in organizations, if we use AI to drive certain data or predictive analytics, then in fact we can introduce innovation at all levels, no? Generational innovations, as I would call it. So you'd probably have this innovation for Gen X, for Gen Y, for Gen Z. That's the first point. The second point is, I think we're looking at also, with AI, we're also looking at changes in the competencies that we might require from our workforce. And I think this is where the younger generation would have an edge, okay? And I think this is a bit tricky. This is the tricky part when we look at the whole workforce complement. When you start looking at what are the requirements now if HR processes are AI-driven, and then you talk about job displacement, but I think more than that would be what will now be the requirement, the unique requirement or competencies of the workforce. And this is where we see that the younger generation might have an edge.
Yeah, sure, Dinesh.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Noel. I will add to him is like this. When we talk about the Gen X, everyone will agree that the Gen X wants to make it very fast and easy at the fingertips. And AI gives that particular platform that whatever the, say, work or the assignment they want to do it, they will try to find out what can be the best. Okay, that is something innovative, something new. So they would use this particular platform rather than the existing platform, and those would be the innovations where they can make it better, easier, and faster. So it is much more important for the innovations as well.
All right, hearing from all the HRs hailing from different backgrounds, we understand Gen Z, millennials are quite ready for adapting artificial intelligence. Coming to the next side, of the story where we talk about risk mitigation. We talk about artificial intelligence, why it has been a huge debatable topic. And whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, there's a sense of negative impact on Gen Z. So we try having it from each one of you, and viewpoint on risk mitigation over AI would be very helpful. If I can please begin with Reena, you.
I think to put risk mitigation into context, I'd just like to give you a few facts again, because this has happened. So from Amazon in 2018, Amazon discontinued an AI recruitment tool. Why? Because that tool seemed to favor the male candidates. And again, why that happened? It's because the period that they were screening the CVs, that was predominantly male applicants. So it was very much because of the data set that that tool seemed to favor the male candidates. In 2015, maybe you have read about it, Google Photos was coined to be very racist because it mistakenly labeled Afro-Americans as gorillas. So again, it was an AI-powered tool that somewhere something went wrong, so that led to very awkward results. In 2019, we have the Apple cards on gender bias. So that was a credit card which was powered by Goldman Sachs, again, very well-known global organization. And what happened is that the credit limit that was given to men seemed to be significantly higher than for women, and even though the men would have worse financial profiles. I also have the compact risk assessment tool in 2016, which is a tool used by the US government. And that tool was more likely to incorrectly label the black people as high risk recidivists as compared to the white counterparts. So there is a lot of challenges surrounding the use of AI. So why? Because AI rests on data. It is very data-centric. So you need to continuously have a flow of data and information that is reflecting the reality. So we need quantity of data, we need quality of data, and very importantly, we need diversity of data. So the problems that I just mentioned is about the diversity of data. We had, the data was skewed, so that predictors, that gave, Dr. Noel talked about predictive analytics, so that gave very certain outcomes that did not reflect the reality. The second thing I'd like to say on the challenges and the risk mitigation around it is about leadership. So you need leadership commitment and the HR readiness if we want to embrace AI in the workplace. We have to get rid of our old, more sticky methods of doing things, you know, in terms of recruitment. I mentioned in terms of talent retention, there are now certain tools that can predict the way people are behaving. So we have to be open to that as well. Very importantly is about data protection and the way we're going to use that data, because AI is infiltrating, whether we like it or not, it is getting into the privacy of people. So how do we structure our governance policies, and how do we, our governance and security management and privacy policies would also be very important. And obviously that raises also issues around ethics. How are we using that data? Or is it going to be used only for one goal, or are we going to use that for other purposes as well? I think these are the issues that come to mind when we talk about the risk mitigation part.
Very insightful, Reena. Dr. Noel, I would like to, also put you here to understand and share your experience, from a perspective where risk mitigation, I'm bringing millennials, because Dr. Noel joins us from a background of, he's a human resource director with Miriam College, Philippines. So if you can put forward your viewpoint on that.
Oh, okay, just to reinforce the points earlier mentioned, I think on the side of technology where you talk about security, data privacy, there's a lot of interventions that could be done to kind of mitigate the risk. But the other one that's kind of more difficult is really the ethical challenges that go with AI. I think the way to go is, I did mention this already, as we try to develop AI platform when we use in HR, I think it is important to take into account diversity, equity, and inclusivity in the formation of a team that would develop the AI program for any organization. I think at the onset, when the membership is diverse, there is equity and very inclusive, I'm not saying it's going to be 100%. There's going to be no ethical issues, but I think that's going to minimize that impact. And also, I think it was already mentioned, critical would be the leadership. That's both at the organizational level and HR as well. There is that moment when data is really left on the hands of the leaders. What you do there would really be critical, even if you have systems that are in place to kind of help you predict, okay, using data. As I mentioned already, predictive analytics, there could still be a space where unethical practices might just happen.
Just one thing before I forget. What AI is going to do also is it is going to it is true it is helping us in productivity and cost effectiveness, but it is shifting the way we are leading businesses, because it is now going to be very much rule-based. And I think in addition to being mindful of the data set we're going to use to predict and make decisions in the future, what is very important is that we try to see how we do not use those rules and infringe on the human autonomy and the human freedom to decide. I think this is very decisive when we talk about AI in the workplace.
All right. Reena, attaching a string to what you just said about, our leaders, preparedness of CXOs. So how prepared are our leaders for these changes?
I think, to be frank, I think the leaders have to be more prepared. We are all talking about AI. It is the buzzword, and we want to be seen as being, in French we call it avant-gardiste. But we're not maybe thinking through thoroughly of how it is going to change the workplace altogether. What are the future skills, for instance, we will need? How are we going to drive our business from the way we have always run it? I think also, if we want to embrace AI, leaders also need to partner well with the AI vendors, because it's not just a software that you implement like that. It is something that the vendor has to accompany us throughout the journey, so that we can learn and gauge the implications of how this is faring in the workplace as we go along.
Harsha, if we can have you here on the input that since artificial intelligence and innovation in your kind of industry has been very, organic, so how you feel that how prepared are our leaders, and what should we do to prepare our leaders more if they are less prepared?
So I think if I look at the maritime industry, it's very traditional. We are doing things still in the old ways, and people like it that way. But now that AI is the buzzword everywhere, of course, a little bit of it has also come into our organizations. But if I really have to give a candid view on, are the leaders really prepared for such a big change, then maybe not. But we are taking all our small steps to understand artificial intelligence, even not just in HR, but even in technology, in our planning, day-to-day planning, in our budgeting, in a lot of other spheres also artificial intelligence has taken over. And I think if the leaders really do not adapt to it, and then any organization where the leaders are unprepared, that organization is going to fall back. That's how I look at it.
I think Dr. Noel earlier mentioned about job displacement, and it's true that lots of entry-level jobs will be displaced. So are leaders thinking what they're going to do with those people, or that's just going to be redundant in the future days?
But that makes their job even more secure. I mean, that's on a lighter note.
Yeah, so what I think is that leaders should start thinking of how they're going to ramp up the new skills in the existing workforce as a sustainable organization, and how they're going to be with the workforce for the new strategy, for the strategies of the future.
Dr. Dinesh, you would like to add?
Yeah, here I would like to see that when we are talking about the leaders, it is the vision what leaders are having to transform their workforce. So transforming the workforce is definitely adding to their skills, behavior, attitude, goals, goal setting, and everything it comes. So this particularly AI would definitely give the platform that when the different workforce might be having the different skill sets and behavior and attitudes. So assessing those particular things, and then for current situation to the to be, that is the transformation, the various tools can be adopted or applied for a different workforce, and then this particular transformation can be solved, and it can be continuously evaluated as well.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Dinesh. According to moving to the next section about replacing job, AI eating up jobs, the World Economic Forum and our school principals. Yes, we need to speed up. Sorry, just 2 more minutes. This is an important one why everyone's sitting here. The main topic that, eating up jobs. So I'll quickly present the data. The World Economic Forum's Future Jobs Report says AI and machine learning specialists are going to be the more secure one, and the clerical jobs are going to get eaten up. It predicts a 40% jump in the number of AI and machine learning specialists by 2027, a 30 to 35% rise in technical skill set. So now, just quickly diving everyone into it, that how much do you think, as per the industries that you belong to, have this feeling of jobs, displacement of jobs? We'll quickly, your input.
I think in my industry, we just had this discussion some time ago. Only those clerical jobs, maybe at the executive level, where we are just looking at some daily mundane things. Those jobs, yes, they will get converted into. But then we are looking at upskilling our forces so that they can take some other jobs rather than have redundancies in the organization. That's how I look at it.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Reena. We quickly need to...
Very quickly, I think we are also looking at upskilling, so jobs on compliance, cybersecurity, data science, other jobs that we are looking for the future.
I think the education sector will not be much affected, but I think the direction will be for us to do some upskilling and reskilling of our, as I've said, I think the focus will be on reskilling and upskilling of our employees, because there's not much job that are very clerical and administrative.
Yeah, I would like to say AI and ML are essential for upskilling purpose, and there is no threat that because of that there will be some threat on the losing the job of anyone.
All right, thank you so much, co-panelists. Thank you so much. It was great having everyone's here. And before the voice goes off the mic, it was a sign that we have taken a lot of time. Thank you once again, everyone, for being so patient. Thank you.